also comes. We understand looking as something that is understood to imagine. I mean to say, I do feel like when we think about speculative, it's always divorced from the real, primarily because it's something that is fictive, it's something that is fabulated. And this tension between the real and the speculation is something that would classify the latter as essentially a narrative of discontent and frustration. Meaning to say, speculative fiction happens because there's a sense of discontent about the reality as it is. And so this sense of frustration of trying to come up with alternatives bothers the writer to come up with text that looks at different possibilities, like different possibilities that can only otherwise be written in this kind of genre. I say discontent because, and frustration, because it is in the power of the genre essentially to yank you out, right? To yoke you from the ordinariness of daily life and to kind of speculate a life that is otherwise not real. But I guess similar to what the other panelists have already discussed, the moment you return after reading, it makes everything you experience things in a more heightened manner. So much so that the imagined is actually the most real in a sense, right? And so I want to kind of take a look at it from the folk and try to propose speculation or sapantaha as an eco-critical imagination, meaning to say the relationship of literature and the environment. So I'll try to be interdisciplinary with science if I have time, but let's see. So I start with that by saying the sapantaha or the speculative mode as essentially coming from the folk, right? The folk as something that is kaalamang bayan. We know that already. And I do want to latch on to the idea of the speculum or the mirror, right? To look into oneself, right? When you look at the mirror, you see yourself. And it comes as no surprise that the folk is essentially, according to Alan Dundee's, an autobiographical ethnography of oneself, right? We glean ourselves, our value system to explain, why we are the way we are by looking at this consciousness, a consciousness that is yet to be contaminated by modernity, by this history that we have right now. And so this kaalamang bayan becomes the wellspring by which we can actually get templates, tropes, right, characters, patterns by which we can analyze reality around us. And it is in this wellspring that we can actually see oneself as well, right? To see oneself, and that seeing is also imaginative, to imagine yourself to be there. And I think this is the rubric by which we can make sense of ourselves, right? In terms of how primordial truths, for example, are revealed to us in a society before we even, began to be conscious about it. And so because of this understanding of the folk as always given, as always already, the speculative allows us actually to interrogate that, right? To kind of critique this kind of consciousness that sometimes, because it is lived, is glossed over, right? And I do feel like the speculative mode allows us to re-examine this folk consciousness to question by way of offering alternative sets of possibilities, right? To kind of understand why people do things the way that we do right now. And because of this constant retelling of the speculative coming from the wellspring of the folk, speculation therefore extends the folk into the contemporary. And I feel like this is the power of speculation, speculative fiction, because it contemporizes what is otherwise considered static, right? We have this mistaken notion of the folk as always buried in the past, but it lingers, right? It haunts us. And speculation allows us to understand how this haunting actually happens. So it actually intensifies, right? The folk's knowledge is intensified by way of its many interrogations, by way of its many retellings, by way of offering many ways of living it. That speculation therefore resists an absolutist way of perceiving reality, but rather provides us with multiple frames of references by which reality can be based from and against. Okay, and I want to start with the folk, to kind of look at it as an eco-critical imagination, because in the folk, there is this notion that the human and nature are actually enfolded into one, right? For example, we have creation myths, wherein human history is actually enfolded into natural time. We're able to make sense of human time by way of geological time, right? So it's enfolded into that. And primarily because of this kind of understanding that human and nature they're supposed to converse with each other, as with the eco-critical imagination. What the anthology does is to kind of displace the anthropocentric logos. Meaning to say it's not the voice of man alone that's privileged in the collection. So it comes as no surprise that the earth is made to feel, as it were, right? Feelings of humans, their voice in human language, inanimate objects, as we saw, for example, in After Six, the paintings can talk, Puso sa Garapon, you have inanimate objects capable of conversing, right? The land being sentient, the moment the babaylan is actually able to step into the land is able to feel all of that. So I do feel like this moment of displacement is a crucial concept in understanding the speculative as an eco-critical imagination, primarily because a lot of these displacements can have real ecological consequences, right? As we saw in the story, for example, the displacement leads humans to be keenly aware of their position within the ecosystem, right? That not the superior being that's supposed to gain dominion over the earth, but rather positions them as something that is actually equal or capable of at least understanding each other. That kind of empathy that is given to otherwise silenced voices, right? Plants, trees, paintings. These are things that are in realist mode, will never have a voice, right? So the speculation allows for these voices and makes you ask questions like, what if they could think? What if they could feel, right? What sorts of feelings, what sorts of epistemologies can we get from that, right? By allowing them to speak. And the displacement leads to so many consequences in the anthology, as for example, the folk insisting itself through dreams, in mga panaginip ni Alaala, the literal erasure of the folk, right? In the Pintados where they lose their painting, this dichotomy between the urban and the rural in Yawa. And I do feel like the apex is the flood, right? The flood in Rapunzel at Maria Cacao, wherein we are foretold of the danger of neglecting nature, because it will have disaster, it will lead to disaster, that kind of sakuna. So I do question, therefore, this kind of giving voice to otherwise silenced characters that are usually relegated as part of the setting. I feel like that's the value of speculation, because these characters do not just function as props, right? They are as if humans, they're anthropomorphized, they're subjected to personification. And I do feel like this is where the scientific comes in as well, right? In order to understand how a plant would feel, you would have an intimate knowledge of, let's say, botany, right? My example is makahiya. I mean, the term itself, makahiya. To understand the plant, we're conferring a human emotion, hiya, shame, right? But the mechanism, the physical laws that govern the closing of the leaves to itself, right, leads us to understand that, I can understand it as something that's maybe resonant with the human emotion. I do feel like that's where the speculation comes in, right? To give voice to that, to be empathic towards that. And so therefore, the speculation is an attempt, right? It's an attempt, and I guess in Filipino, this is where the nuance of Sapantaha differs from the speculative only. Because I think that in the act of Sapantaha, sa pagsasapantaha, may pagsusubok, right? May pagsusubok sa kabila ng pagsubok, right? There is a moment of daring, there's a moment of crossing, and the pagsubok itself is reality, right? Reality and realism as it's rendered in literature. So yeah, I have 2 minutes left. I want to talk about the ethics, therefore, of the speculative, because the introduction gives us the ethical dimension of speculation, right? How can you be ethical in a world where these real disasters are happening? I do feel like to understand, let's say for example, I go back to the folk, the myth, the creation myth in the biblical tradition, where Adam and Eve are actually tasked to be stewards of the earth, right, in the Garden of Eden. I do feel like to understand speculation as capable of imagining an eco-critical discourse strengthens this call of being co-stewards of the earth that we are actually predated by creation itself, right? We're seventh day, I'm not sure if my theology is correct. We created seventh day, sixth day, perfect, sixth day, right? So there is a kind of language that's already there, an ecosystem that's already there. And our task as humans, eco-critical theory would tell us to be mindful of our relationship, right? Not with each other only, but rather even to non-human beings, right? Because they are sentient, they are capable of feeling, and they're capable of thinking. So therefore, it's that kind of ethical response to being stewards of the earth, to be caretakers. And so the myth of creation is actually approximated by way of the speculative. And it returns to the folk as a collective, as a social responsibility, wherein it enjoins us in the manner of asking us to speculate with the text. We speculate together, we imagine together. It brings back this eco-critical mission as a responsibility of the social, right? Of the social. And I guess in Embrace, I guess in giving us this alternative reality, we're made to reconsider the looking in speculum, in specere, to look. But what are we looking at? I do feel like it's in this wretchedness called Earth, or at least in this place, in this world, that's capable of so much wretchedness, right? One can look at the divine Garden of Eden. Plants and animals are actually harmonious. And I feel like this is the divine ethical component that is actually given the moment that you are engaging in speculation as a genre itself. So I'll end there.